Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back to the afternoon session of Arizona v. Lori Daybell. And it was just heating up right when we took lunch. It was getting pretty exciting. So I'm excited to continue on. Where are you at? Oh, I think it's some kind of weird. Hold on. It's like the weird layout. What? That's not a good layout.
Well, you got Mandy up there. Okay.
Mandela. Oh, there we go. See, this
So-
one doesn't quite cover the logo, though. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, I'm ready to rock and roll it, unless you want to put it up. Maybe you should put it up, because I have to dip early again, because Scout's got practice again.
Okay,
whatever.
yeah, and plus I did look into the well, I have up, I gotta switch it back to Law and Crime.
Andy Cohen's here to mediate. It's about who we need. Need a little Bravo action here, for sure. The Real Housewives of Arizona. See what's up with them.
I mean, I can't tell if this is live. If it is, it just started minutes ago.
I'm right at, so I'm at minus 1129.
All right, I've got it.
And like Lori's standing in front of the judge. The judge is looking at her. He's got a look. He's like, what? He's like, oh my God, her. More her. Yeah, the court is definitely using a 30-minute delay. So we've incorporated that, and we started 15 minutes later than that.
Make sure
so that we have a bit of a buffer for that afternoon break.
Okay.
Somebody cracked a soda.
All right, so I did look into so apparently in Arizona, they also have something called a hybrid representation, which involves concurrent or alternate representation by both the defendant and counsel. This is not that. And I mean, everything that I can find on advisory counsel is just that, like, first of all, you don't have a right to effective assistance of advisory counsel, because Arizona even giving you advisory counsel is more than the Constitution says that you are entitled to. So their law says it's not like you can make a claim that your advisory counsel, didn't help you enough. But, I see things about, that they're assisting, but I just didn't get in. I couldn't find anything real.
I don't know what the delay is for.
specific.
Polygraph, maybe in case they have to zap her.
Or if something happens and then they decide that it's going to be stricken, or something happens, like, this entire thing, I don't know,
I don't know. I mean, frankly, I'd like to see her get zapped if they had to zap her. I wouldn't hate that.
Oh, Lord.
All right, fire it up. Let's go.
All right.
Get the banner back up there for Nancy Joe.
Miss Hancock, you said that you had seen on TV that my husband had passed away. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you indicated after that you saw my sister-in-law, Kay Woodcock, on that show and you reached out to her. Is that correct?
I didn't indicate that, but that is correct. I reached out to Kay after I saw that Charles had died.
Okay. And did you do that through Facebook or
I did.
social media? Okay. How many times between that first contact and now have you and Kay Woodcock communicated?
I've spoken to her just once. I've texted her here and there regarding, I've texted her here and there about other things. I don't know what I can say.
Okay. How many times have you texted her?
I have no idea.
Like more than 10?
Seems like Lori abandoned that previous
Maybe.
question.
Okay. Have you ever turned over those communications to the state?
No,
Did they ask you for them?
no.
Okay.
I believe so, Sonny.
Did you ever turn over the text conversations you had with my husband to the state?
I was never asked, but I understand that they retrieved them via having them through Charles' phone.
Okay.
I would have had I been asked.
Okay. Did you turn over any other communications that you had with anyone else regarding this case to the state?
I don't believe I've had any other regarding this case to turn over to anybody, so no.
Okay. How many times have you spoken to this prosecutor?
To Ms. Kay,
Yes, to Miss Kay.
I met with her once in person and one other phone call, and then just text messages about the logistics of being here today.
Okay. How many text messages would you say?
I have no idea.
More than 10?
I know court.
So the person on the stand, and I guess
Scrolls
is
up.
oh, the scroll is up. Okay, somebody had asked. So this was the woman, one of the women that Charles was seeing, talking to, whatever the case may be.
Nancy Joe Hancock is her name.
And it is up there. Okay,
It
sorry.
is.
I was looking on.
Yeah, if you guys are ever wondering, we put that scroll at the very bottom of the screen typically, and we're usually pretty good about changing it when the witnesses change, but we'll typically tell you which day of the trial it is, who's on the stand, and who they are.
Thank you, Mandy.
Was running behind, so she had to text me to come in.
More than 10?
I know court was running behind, so she had to text me to come at a different time. Probably counting yesterday and today to redo the time, more than 10, yes. Prior than that, probably no.
Okay. Did you have a meeting with her to prepare for this testimony?
I met with her once,
How long was that meeting?
an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay.
For
Was anyone
10 minutes
else there?
testimony.
No,
Ooh. Did they get that report?
Have you ever spoken to my brother, Adam?
yes, but only because I ran into him at my grandson's pickleball tournament the other day.
She should have asked.
And
if
how
they were
did you
taking
know that was
notes
him?
during that hour and a half?
Because I've seen him on media via the situation surrounding you.
So you initiated a conversation with him?
I just said hi, and that was, he asked me who my grandson was, and I pointed it out, and that was the end of it.
So you introduced yourself to him? To my brother?
I don't know that I introduced myself, but maybe.
How would he
Know
know
who you
who
are.
you were?
I don't know that he knew who I was. I knew who he was.
So you went up and talked to him?
I did talk with him, yes.
He didn't call you over, so you went up and talked to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you were talking to him, you told him you were who?
I told him that my name was Nancy Jo Hancock.
And did
inter-
he recognize that name from something?
Can I go back and change how I met your brother? I forgot this until right now. So on a dating app, your brother's picture came up on my dating app. And I sent him a message and said, but he had a different name that he used, not Adam. And so I just sent him a message and said if he was going to use someone else's pictures, he should probably pick someone different than Adam Cox. That's how I met him.
That's how you met my brother, Adam?
Correct.
Do you know what perjury is?
Absolutely.
I object, Your Honor, to
That's a question.
argumentative harassment.
Argumentative.
You know what perjury is.
How long was this conversation that you had with my
she's
brother
hilarious.
at the pickleball tournament?
A couple of minutes, maybe less.
And how many times had you communicated with him before that?
Only that message on that dating app. Besides that,
One message, one time?
I don't remember. I think he messaged me back and it didn't continue.
So just the one day then? Maybe several messages in one day?
I might have sent him one other message, but it was just one interaction and there was nothing further.
And you did not schedule a date with him?
I did not.
Okay. Have you ever spoken to Brandon Boudreau?
Yes.
Okay, when?
We all talk about your ass,
He
Lori.
attends the same
All of
church
us.
that my daughter does, and he happened to be at their house briefly, and I didn't really speak to him. I just knew that that's who he was
And how did you know who he was?
because my daughter told me.
And who did she say he was
Brandon Boudreau.
in relation to me?
She knows the story, and I know the story, so she just had to tell me that his name was Brandon Boudreau.
That he was married to my niece? Is that the information that you had?
I know that he was married to your niece, yes.
She's opening the door to her
Just the
saying,
association is
I
all I
know.
was asking.
yeah, I know that you were charged with attempting to murder him. I mean, she's,
And you did speak to him that time?
Well, I don't believe I spoke with him.
Okay. But you met him?
I don't know that I even met him. I was there. He was there with some other people, and I knew that that's who that was.
So you didn't introduce yourself to him?
I did not.
Okay. Did you speak to any other law enforcement besides Ms. K? Not that she's law enforcement, but did you speak to any other law enforcement about this case or be interviewed?
Yes.
Who? Who did you speak with?
Detective Moffat is who interviewed me. I believe that's, I might have left a message for him. I couldn't tell you who with, but the only one that I spoke to was Detective Moffat, Nathan Moffat.
And when was that interview?
In 2020, I believe in April. A long time ago.
Okay.
July
How long
11th.
was that interview? About?
It was a telephone interview and it lasted 45 minutes, I'd say.
So July 11th, 2019.
Is that the only law enforcement that you spoke to
Oh,
besides the prosecutor?
Yes.
And how long between that interview with Detective Moffat and your first communications with Ms. K, how much time passed in between there?
With Trina K?
Correct.
I met with her just a month ago, 5 weeks ago. And I gave an interview in 2020, so
Is that the first communication you had with Ms. K was 5 weeks ago?
yes.
Okay. Ms. Hancock, were you aware at the time of your date that I did not know that my husband was on dating websites and dating women?
Objection
Objection,
relevant.
speculation.
Sustained.
Yeah, how would she know?
Were you informed by him that I knew of the situation of us being separated?
He was under the impression you were having an affair, so him moving on was a natural effect from that.
He told you that?
Yes, he did.
You could let that hearsay in.
Just to recap,
You're not going to get away with this.
you said that you met my husband Charles, on July 3rd. Is that
That's
correct?
an answer.
Approximately. Give or take a day.
So did you shoot
And you
him?
went on a date with him on July 10th.
Correct?
So that was what, 7 days later?
Approximately.
So would it be fair to say that you knew my husband for a week?
Approximately.
Okay.
No further questions. End. Right there.
And then you had no contact with Charles after that, correct?
Well, he was dead.
Well, he was dead, so clearly I didn't have contact with him.
Oh, Lord. Come on, Lori. Got you there. Got you
And it
there.
wasn't until you saw that he had passed away on the news that you reached out to anyone. Is that correct?
Correct? I didn't know he was dead.
And that was about 6 months later? Is that correct?
I believe it was December, so July to December is 5 months, I believe.
Okay.
She's about to open some doors.
Door opening.
And then you found Charles' sister, Kay Woodcock, my sister-in-law, yes?
Objection asked
See?
and answered.
She's
I'm just going over the timeline, Your Honor.
keep asking about why she had to have contact with Kay and why people were talking to Kay. Because everybody was looking for your kids and they were investigating you for murder, and now you've since been charged with her murder. I mean, keep opening the door. Just kick it. Just kick it right on open. Make for an easy conviction in this case. I was just waiting for you to say anything.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I concur with all of the opening of doors.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
I didn't know you had paused.
So when is the then you're referring to?
So at the 5 months later that you said in December, after that is when you contacted Kay Woodcock?
To express my condolences for her brother passing away and wanted to let her know that I had had dinner with him that last night and
mean-
how much he loved JJ and how excited he was to see him the next morning. And just
Thank you. That's enough.
That's not the way it works, Lori. You open the door, she gets to walk on through it. Keep going.
Walk on
I'm just
through.
recapping here. And you contacted her through Facebook, is that correct?
And again, asked and answered.
She's so lucky the answer wasn't to give her condolences for the death of JJ.
Right.
To express condolences for her missing grandchildren. Let her know that I'm sorry her grandkids are missing and I hope she finds them alive. God, I just keep doing it, Lori. Keep going.
I don't think that was actually asked yet. I'll overruled. Go ahead.
yes, as I said before, I contacted her through Facebook.
Okay.
It actually
And then
was
sent a
asked
few
and
text
answered.
messages, is that correct?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
This is recap of everything we've already
Right.
gone through.
Right, recaps don't work, Lori. Although prosecutors kind of do it all the time. But
And then you said you met with police on April 22nd, 2020, is that correct?
I didn't say April 22nd. I said I believed it was sometime in April.
Okay,
And I didn't meet with them. It was a telephone interview.
okay. And that was around 1 year after my husband passed away, is that correct?
Well, July to April would be 10 months, so.
No more questions, Your Honor?
Mm.
All right.
Now let's-
Redirect.
watch the
you.
prosecutor just give life to all the stuff Lori asked about.
All the
Don't have-
oxygen.
Right.
All the oxygen.
Or to be like, door was open, Your Honor. So let's see.
You, did you reach out to the police or did the police reach out to you after you learned Charles was
I
dead?
reached out to the police.
Um,
I was surprised given that if they'd seen his phone, they would see the text communication that we had and that we had been at dinner that night before he died.
In terms of speaking with Charles's family,
Ooh.
Kay Woodcock, did you know her before this?
No.
Had you heard her name through speaking with Charles?
Yes, from Charles. I knew that he had changed his life insurance to his sister Kay, and he talked quite a bit about Kay and his love for her and the relationship with JJ and how that they had adopted JJ.
So you understood the closeness he had with his sister.
Absolutely.
And you said you reached out to pay your condolences.
I did.
When you learned that Charles was dead, were you shocked?
Objection, relevance.
I was watching the
Although
TV and
Lori-
it was talking about a case and his picture came on the screen and shocked is an understatement. Yes.
In terms of talking with Kay,
Talk about
Have
anything
you
else. What about JJ? She's thinking about it.
ever tried to talk to other people to learn about or verify if the stuff that Charles told you was accurate?
No.
Is what you are telling us just what he told you?
What I'm telling
Oh,
you is
here's
part
one.
of what he
Thank
told
you.
me. There's a lot more.
And did you tell the police all of what he told you? That you could remember at that time, I should say.
I believe, no, I thought I would probably be interviewed again, and it was more an ask-answer format. There was, I remember being surprised that I wasn't interviewed again.
Because Charles had shared so much with you.
Correct.
In terms of
Mm-mm-mm.
the defendant's brother, Adam, did you ever talk with him about the case?
No,
Through media, did you recognize him?
I
as-
recognized him because I'd seen him on reports. And I knew that he was going to be testifying in this hearing.
When did you see him?
Trial.
When was this interaction
Like
at
a
this pickleball?
week and a half ago.
So a week and a half ago, when you see him at a pickleball tournament with your grandkid, you say hi to him?
Basically.
You don't talk at all about the case?
We might have talked about that we were testifying. I don't know. No details for sure.
Okay.
Just a general, and then he saw who my grandson was and the end.
So nothing about, hey, I'm going to say this, or Charles
Absolutely,
told me this.
absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. I know I'm not allowed to tell you that.
When you and I met,
I mean, you saw like the little lie because she tells Lori she got caught up in it, right? Lori kind of got her there, like, oh, so you walked up to my brother, and well, who did you tell him you were? Like, how do you introduce yourself to someone and not say why you're saying hello? Like, clearly,
I told him I
I'm
was Nunya.
right.
None of
I'm
your damn
Nancy
business.
Joe. I was seeing Charles. I'm actually testifying in that too. You're testifying in that, you know. So, but I mean, I don't think having any effect on the jury at all,
No.
you know.
did we go through your testimony?
Did I tell you to tell the truth?
Or let me get this right. Did we go through what you told the police?
Yeah,
Did I indicate to you to just tell the truth,
you told me to tell the truth,
whatever that was?
whatever that
It was
was.
an hour and a half, lady.
You were asked about the fact that you knew Charles for basically a week, right?
Correct.
Did he make an impression on you?
Charles was a large personality. It would be hard not to be impressed by his wit and
Largeness.
just gregarious, big personality
Gregariousness, babe.
with his Southern accent.
Largeness.
You were asked a lot on cross about you dating a married man.
I mean,
Correct.
we all are.
What was
We all
your
are.
impression of
She said it.
where this relationship was between Charles and Lori
Separated.
Vallow when you and Charles started talking?
Well, I knew that they had separated and that they had reconciled, and I knew he had filed and then he had recanted that. But he also had met with an attorney to begin the process again
Wow.
and was very emphatic that he was done with all the craziness.
And was that
Yeah.
last time something that you understood to be very recent?
Prior to us meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
When he's talking to you, he's telling you about, you said sort of the
Objection,
whole
hearsay.
year of 2019, correct? But this last understanding that you had of him now going back to a divorce lawyer, was that something you understood to be very recent in time
Believe
to that July 10th when you're meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
It's so
Um,
crazy.
And did you understand him to have even met with an attorney?
I believe he told me that, yes.
So that was where you were at.
Yes.
And that's what you understood Charles to be at.
Yes, and I
Objection.
will say, after having dinner with him,
Mm.
I did tell him that no one would want to be serious with him until he was further along in accomplishing that divorce that he was in the process of, including myself.
So even though you knew he was just barely starting now, did you still want to meet with him again?
Yeah, I wouldn't have entertained a serious relationship, but he was fun, and yeah, I would have met with him again.
All right. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Are there any questions for this witness from the jury? I see at least one question. I think we have our white noise, our.
The jury asked questions?
Yep.
Nancy Joe was like, what? The jury?
Bloop, 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 bloop. Whoops. I broke it.
Mm.
Sorry.
Aw, bless you. Little sneezer.
Oh, Lord.
Ever expressed to you verbally any indications of stress?
Definitely, he was very worried that
That, I think we'll just keep it with a yes/no answer for this question. Does the defense have follow-up based on that juror question?
Don't do it, Lori. Don't do it. No. Can she get a nudge from advisory council? Just show us. Is she at least talking to her lawyer? I want to see. Hurry up, camera. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, they're talking about it.
Does the defendant have follow-up based on that juror question?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
All right, state.
No.
All right, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank
you. State can call its next witness.
Nancy Joe, done. Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Wait, they're going back on a.
Oh man, we're losing all the time. All the blooping. All the blooping.
Sidebar.
Sidebar. What do you think they're sidebarring about, babe?
Something about this witness. Huh.
To tell you I'm happy to be here, but why start with an untruth?
Wait,
I am
what's happening?
All right, that clip always freaks Allie out. It's Judge
Oh.
Hippler.
Oh,
It's
I
the
always
Judge
forget.
Hippler crew.
So it was weird because they didn't say anything before Like, I don't know what prompted him to put on the headphones.
Some kind of sidebar.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on now? Oh man, all the blooping.
It's gone.
Blooped.
We're at live time.
We're blooped out.
It's
Oh
live.
man,
It's live.
that is some bullshit. We should have started this like 45 minutes late.
Yeah.
There's nothing
That,
worse than
that
being
cat
blooped,
made my
dude.
allergies act up. Let's see if we got any question. Well, we just got this Melissa here. She became a
Free-range
member, babe.
psychic.
What'd she get? Melissa,
Aw,
free range psychic.
Family hug. That's what she
Thanks,
gets.
Melissa.
Big old
Thanks for
family
your
hug.
generosity.
We love it. Yeah, blooping. Rest in peace. Nothing better than blooping.
Yep. MS Wild side is right. Oh, Allie, we'll pause it and we'll get some more bloop time.
Yeah, I mean, that 15 minutes is not much bloop time. Yeah, the
Mandy and I are not sisters. Isn't Mandy? Yeah, I don't think. Okay, this is weird. What's weird?
yeah, I think 30 minutes might be the right amount of time for blooping.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like Lori's gonna. I feel like she's gonna open it. She's gonna kick it in wide enough.
Not going to be able to help herself.
She got lucky with this. That the answer wasn't, "How did you recognize him?" That her answer was from all the media about you, because she could have been more specific. And and why did you call Kay? We discussed that one already. Could have been, say, I'm sorry to hear your grandkids are missing. Sorry to hear your grandkids are deceased.
Y'all, Marcus doesn't know what blooping is.
Bloop,
Blooping
bloop.
is when we're behind time and
Bloop,
then we
bloop,
can bloop 5 seconds. Bloop, 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 bloop,
I
bloop.
might want to call it blip, but we call it bloop.
No, it's definitely
We're
blooping.
blooping.
I'm not blipping. I'm a blooper.
I'm a blooper. Blippers. Has Jay made any cat fight cross content yet? I'm sure he will.
What you got, Sarita?
I have so much I want to tell Bob and Allie to help give them more context. Driving me crazy. I can't type it all.
Get to typing.
Which context?
I don't know. It's exciting. Love context.
Oh, wait. We got something here. Lieutenant Pez Dispensary Tully. Thanks for your generosity. What is the point if everything is totally off limits to say? Yeah. I mean, they're not letting them get in what happened to the kids. It's highly prejudicial. And it all happened after this. And, so it's off limits unless she opens the door somehow. And thanks again, Liz Pez Dispenser Tully. Apologies for my challenged syntax. I didn't think anything was challenged.
Yeah, he does have a Santa vibe. Skinny Santa though.
Distributed for conference and a date. So Milo's mom's talking about Karen Reed. You saw that the Supreme Court denied their stay.
Mm-hmm.
For conference and date. So did they say they're going to hear the case?
No, but they didn't say that they weren't. They just denied the stay.
Yeah, but she says it says they were. She's asking what it means when they say distributed for conference and date. So I don't know if that's a conference between the judges or a conference with the party and a status date, which would suggest they're going to hear the case. So the Supreme Court does not have to hear every case that petitions it to be heard. They pick and choose what they're going to hear. And they only do that if there's an issue in the law that they see that needs to be addressed, or if there is a difference between the circuits, the different federal courts applying the law differently. So that's not a case here. So, I don't know. I don't know if that means that they've decided to hear the case or if that's an internal thing. Because we do petitions for leave to appeal, and then the first thing I get without ever hearing anything from anybody is denied.
Yeah, I mean, all I saw was that, oh, no.
We got to make our Lieutenant Pez Dispenselli, thanks again for your generosity. Can they get it in that Charles was possessed? Yeah, they have already said in their opening that, well, I mean, they're not going to, the state's not going to say he's possessed. The state's saying that this was all a plot to unalive him. He's Ned. But I think that Lori's definitely going to try to get evidence that he was possessed. I don't know. Do you think she's going to try to get evidence that he's possessed?
I mean, if she does, talk about opening the door. Oh my God. If she goes there, she can't bring that shit up without like the state having to get into all of it.
But the state's already said in their opening they were getting into all of it. He's dark, he's light, he's Ned. There's castings. They're
Ned
all
Flanders,
of it. All of it.
The storm is coming. They're searching. Lori, they're searching.
I mean, it's only going to get more interesting from here.
What is this bullshit? Like long ass sidebar.
Do we have a witness list? Because well, Melanie Gibbs on there, right?
Is on where?
The witness list?
I haven't seen the witness list.
What about Zulema?
Zulema? I don't know. I think Chad's loins are on the list. Not Chad himself, just his loins of fire. They're going to call his loins to the stand.
I mean, they're going to have to, I don't know how they're going to introduce Nephi. Is that right?
Nephi.
God.
That is just
while we're waiting. While we're waiting, I'm going to share this. That's what I'm going to do. And then we'll be behind some time.
Plates. Learning to follow the Spirit. Laman, Lemuel, Sam, and Nephi went back to Jerusalem at night.
Right?
Yeah.
Nephi went to Laban's house while his brothers hid outside the city. Nephi let the Spirit guide him. He did not know what he should do, but he knew the Lord would help him get the brass plates. When Nephi was near Laban's house, he found Laban on the ground. Laban was drunk. Nephi saw Laban's sword and picked it up. As Nephi looked at the sword, the Spirit told him to kill Laban. But Nephi did not want to kill him. The Spirit told Nephi that it was better for Laban to die than for Nephi's family to not have the scriptures. They needed God's commandments that were written on the brass plates. Nephi knew that Laban had tried to...
They upped the game in this story from tablets to brass plates, huh?
Obey the commandments of God. The Spirit told Nephi again to kill Laban. Nephi knew the Lord had prepared a way for him to get the brass plates. He chose to obey the Spirit. Nephi killed Laban and dressed in Laban's clothes. Nephi then went to Laban's treasury and met Laban's servant, Zoram. Nephi acted and spoke like Laban. Nephi
Anybody coming to
thought
the
Zoram
channel while we're
needed
showing
the
this
brass
knee-high
plates. Then
cartoon?
Nephi told
know.
Zoram to
Okay,
come with
what
him.
is going on
Zoram
over
thought Nephi
here?
was Laban, so he did what Nephi wanted.
Thank you very much.
When Nephi and Zoram came out of the city, Laman, Lemuel, and Sam thought Nephi was Laban. They were afraid, and they started to run away. Nephi called to his brothers. When they knew it was Nephi, they stopped running. But then Zoram became afraid and tried to go back into Jerusalem. Nephi stopped Zoram. He told Zoram that the Lord had commanded them to get the plates. He invited Zoram to go with them to the promised land.
All right, well, that's
Zoram knew that he
basically
could
the
be a
full
free
story.
man, not a servant, and promised to go with Nephi and his family.
So that
Bukaki.
is the story of Nephi, and that is what the state opened up with her text to show that
I feel like the
Lori.
judge just watched that with us. That
Yes,
face that he's
he's like,
making right there. He's like,
what?
What was that?
So the state's position is that when Lori asked about Nephi in texts to her brother, that was code for it's time to unalive Charles. So there is the official from LDS story of Nephi.
Aw.
And we're only probably got a minute of blooping, but we're back.
Sound good?
See, Justice Jane. What a treat. Wasn't that a treat?
All right, ma'am, you're going to come right up here in front of me
Who is-
and
who
be
is it?
sworn in.
It's like Reed is scheduled start firing on all cylinders on Tuesday.
All right, you're going to have a seat just over here to my left.
Oh, hey, pal.
Worst start,
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Christina Atwood.
How
Florida
old are you,
time.
Christina?
I'm 52.
And if you can get just a little closer, you're very soft to the.
Hawaii, I mean, I think.
52.
Thank you. I know nobody wants to say that loud. Do you live here in Arizona?
Yes,
Did you live here in Arizona in 2019?
I did.
Are you from here?
Not originally.
How long have you been in Arizona?
2009.
I want to start by asking you a little bit about some personal part of your life. Are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Yes,
Were you raised in that religion?
I was.
As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, did you ever meet Lori Vallow?
I did.
Do you recall sort of where you first met her? Start with that.
At church.
And do you recall approximately when you first met her?
We moved into that area in 2010, and I'm not sure if their family was there at that time or not, but
Sometime after that?
yes,
And did you know her husband, Charles Vallow?
yes,
Was that also through church?
yes.
Did you initially, well, let me start. Did you know they were married?
Yes.
Did you have more contact with one over the other?
More with Lori than with Charles.
And why was that?
My sons and husband had interaction with Lori through the primary program. And I didn't have much interaction with her before they moved to Hawaii. But when her and Charles had moved to Hawaii, we went on a trip and we stopped to visit, and Charles was not at home. And so we interacted with Lori on that trip.
Do you see Lori Vallow at that time in the courtroom today?
I'm sorry, what was that?
See Lori Vallow in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you point her out and identify what she's wearing?
Purple top and suit coat, dark suit coat.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
It shall.
Okay, so you told us that you met Lori and Charles through the church. Do you know how long you went to church with them before they moved to Hawaii?
I don't recall what year they moved, but I know that we moved to the area in 2010 and we went and visited in 2015.
Okay. And that's, you visited them in
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yes.
Other than that, well, let me ask you, when you visited Lori in Hawaii, were her kids there with her? But you said they lived there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so did you know at that time how many children were living with Lori and Charles?
2,
Who were they?
JJ and Tylee. I don't know if Tylee was there that weekend. She may have been gone. It might have just been JJ.
But you were familiar with them having those 2 children?
Yes.
Residing with them?
And I also had known her son before they moved to Hawaii, was in our ward as well. But he wasn't living in Hawaii, I don't believe.
That was, do you know if that was Colby?
Yes.
Was he a son from a prior marriage?
Yes.
Did you know any of Charles's children from a prior marriage?
No.
When you went to Hawaii and saw Lori and JJ, how long did you spend a day or weeks? How long were you visiting them?
We visited on a Sunday afternoon for an hour or 2, and then sometime in that week we got together for a couple of hours on the ocean, just paddleboarding, and that was it.
Had you had social interactions with Lori and Charles prior to going to Hawaii?
Not anything of other than waving or saying hello or something, no.
So mostly it would have been prior to that tied to any church activities or things like that?
Correct.
Did you at some point learn that Lori and Charles had moved back to Arizona?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
I'm not positive if it was that I ran into them in the temple, because I recall one time seeing them both at the temple.
Okay. And do you recall if that was around 2018?
Leading.
Yes.
When you said you ran into them, you're saying both Charles and Lori you saw at the temple.
Yes.
And so you learned they're back in Arizona at this point. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you ever have Lori ask you to go with her to Hawaii?
Yes, she did invite me.
Do you recall when that was?
I believe it was the fall or late summer of 2018, but I'm not positive.
Do you recall ever do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Yes.
And were you interviewed by a couple different detectives?
Yes.
In April of 2021, do you remember speaking with a detective, Ron Ball?
Yes.
And do you remember telling him that sort of the beginning of the year of 2019 is when Lori asked you if you wanted to go to Hawaii?
Could have been, yep.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Did she tell you why she wanted to go to Hawaii?
No, I don't recall.
Let me ask you this. When you spoke with the police back in 2020, was your memory better at that point about all of what
For
was going
sure.
on? Now that it's 2025, has your memory faded as to some of the details?
Yes.
Would it refresh your recollection?
Would listening to a portion of your interview about that help potentially refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Yes.
And Your Honor, if I can have my
listening with
paralegal go up with
headphones.
Exhibit 282.
Go ahead.
She should be listening to that with headphones. It should not be played. Who's Patty B? Babe? Saying, who is Patty B saying you need to talk to Richard Allen?
Just one of our
To-
subs.
Why
They want us to cover the
Lori was asking you to go to
irrigation,
Hawaii.
which we will.
Why
Okay.
Darren cleaned them up.
Okay.
refreshes your recollection as to why Lori was asking you to go to Hawaii and when.
And why? What is the relevance of this? So the reason she's listening to headphones is because this is just to refresh her recollection. It is not evidence, so the jury cannot hear it. Damn it. We're live. Yep. No blooping. Maybe I can't remember. I was trying to look through my notes to see if they did a casting in Hawaii. Lori put a.
Was that you talking to the detective about this sort of time period in January where Lori's asking you to go to Hawaii and there's a lot of things going on there?
Yes, I recall that. I actually remembered the invitation being prior to that. And what I was referring to there was something else.
Okay. So there was a prior time you had gone to Hawaii to see Lori and a prior invite, correct?
No, I'd just gone in 2015 with my family.
Okay.
That's the only time
That you went there with
that I
her.
went there. Yes.
Okay. So having listened to that recording, did it refresh your recollection about Lori inviting you to Hawaii in sort of the January of
Yeah, I
2019
was gonna say,
period?
that's what my notes say.
Yes, but I didn't say there that I was invited to go. And I thought that that was previous to that time. But at some point in either the fall or the spring there, I thought it was the fall, winter, she invited me to go to Hawaii.
Okay.
And I wasn't able to go.
She's just not giving you what you want.
Well, let me ask you. So in January of 2019,
No. All right. So what I have here is that in January 2019, Lori decided to leave and stay with Alex, then to Hawaii, right to Texas, and then back to Arizona. This is like just one. Spoke to Lori daily, weekly in the beginning until January when she started moving around and they didn't see each other. So this must be Melanie Gibb. Yeah. But this woman seems to be saying no. That I didn't say that was January.
Did you, 19, did January of 2019, did you, did Lori reach out to you about some things that were going on in her life?
Yes.
Did she talk to you about her marriage?
She shared that she was upset with Charles.
And did she indicate whether or not she was still living with him?
She had indicated that she was not with him at the time.
Did she indicate that she had gone to Hawaii?
Yes.
This
And
is all
did she
leading.
indicate that she was not telling anyone that she was there?
Leading.
She indicated that she was keeping it,
It's definitely all leading.
that there wasn't very many people she was sharing it with. Yes.
Okay. Did she indicate that Charles was back in Texas?
Yes.
Leading.
Did she indicate that Charles had JJ with him in Texas?
Leading.
Yes.
Did she indicate that her daughter Tylee was staying with her brother Alex?
Yes.
Leading. The whole thing
Did
is
she
just
indicate that Charles had tried to take her temple recommend away, and this was one of the reasons she left?
Yes.
leading.
And was it her, did she tell you that she didn't want Charles to know where she was?
Leading.
I don't recall.
So, by the way, I've got Christina Atwood as the list of the inner circle. You've got whatever,
The inner
Zulema,
Are you part
Christina
of the inner
Atwood.
circle?
Yes, she's one of 5, including with Alex.
Yeah. Even with that last leading question, she's like, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't recall.
Right.
Wait, but I just led you to the answer. The answer is clearly yes. I'm the state.
I
I'm
don't
asking
recall.
the questions.
So
Oh,
if you had said that to the police back in April of 2021,
If
would
objection.
your memory have been better?
For
back then?
sure.
Do you contest that you told the police back then that she was trying to make sure that Charles didn't know where she was?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Would you, if you had told the police back in April of 2021 that Lori told you she didn't want Charles to know where she was, would you have been truthful back then?
For
telling
sure.
them that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know
I don't know
how
that
long
she
she
ever
stayed
said
in
that.
Hawaii?
I don't.
Did you ever become aware of her going to Idaho as well?
No. Not until December of 2019.
Do you know how long she stayed, how long she didn't let Charles know where she was?
I don't recall.
At some point,
Lori was
did
knee-deep
you learn
into the
she was
storm
back
at
in
that
Arizona?
point.
Yes.
Did she reach out to you to invite you to any groups?
Wow.
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when the first time it was that you met with her in some group format in 2019?
I believe it was spring 2019, maybe February.
No,
And do you
she
recall,
does.
were there
she
other
has-
people at
pause
that
it one
meeting?
second.
Yes.
Do you recall who was there?
Yes.
Hold on.
Who was it?
Zulema.
Well, Zulema
So-
makes the entrance.
Zulema's on the bingo card. So no, Lori has a paralegal who's been helping her do kind of the running around and the things that paralegals do, but she definitely does have advisory / standby counsel. I think they call it advisory counsel in Arizona.
Yeah.
So she definitely has advisory counsel. Now,
We saw him advising her when
Yeah,
they
I mean,
were when the judge asked
I
if
don't
she
know
had further
why they're
questions.
not telling her to object.
Yeah.
at certain points. I mean,
Right.
like this entire direct examination has been leading, all of it. I mean, and that's where you're suggesting the answer. You're giving them all the information and you're leaving them the ability to just say yes or no.
Right. And Lori was right when she was like, well, she simplified it, but she was like, well, no, it's not supposed to be a yes or no question. It's supposed to be an open-ended question, which is true. I mean, sometimes it can be a yes or no question, so it's not like that simple, but this is definitely leading.
This is definitely leading.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to blip back. Zulema.
Do you recall who was there?
Yes.
Who was it?
Zulema, Melanie Gibb, Nicole Earl, and Serena Sharp.
Those are the
Inner
ones on the list.
circle.
The inner circle
Who
list.
organized
Inner
that?
circle.
Or who invited you? Let me ask that. Did Lori invite you or did one of these other women invite you?
Zulema.
I don't recall.
It's a casting.
Do you recall whose house it was at?
It was at Zulema's.
Okay. And did you know at that time if Lori and Charles were still separated?
She never said they were.
Could you say that again?
Did you know at this meeting if Lori and Charles were still separated, living in different homes?
Yes, I believe so.
Is this where they're
Did
trying to
you
get
know
Ned
who
out?
was caring for JJ at that
This
time?
is a casting.
Yes, I believe she was at Alex's.
JJ?
Oh, sorry, JJ. I believe JJ was in Texas.
Still with Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a yes?
Yes.
And then you said
Positive.
Kylie was still staying with her uncle.
All right, so we have a couple questions from folks who clearly
know
did
this
not
case.
watch the initial trial. So
There's a
Zulema,
podcast out there, people. Defense Diaries.
yeah, I mean it's pretty damn
No
good.
strings attached. But go ahead. What do we got?
So one of the questions is what is a casting? But
Okay.
who is so Zulema was one of the inner circle, one of Lori's like ride or dies. They're all LDS. They're all
Right. They kind of, went with Lori and branched off, following Lori. And a casting is what they did remotely to cast out the demons. So they'd get in a circle and they do a prayer circle. They throw some fire. I describe it as like a little Dungeons and Dragons sessions. I'm throwing fire. I'm putting a sword. I'm splashing water. I don't know, stuff like that. And all of this is to, Mandy's saying this might just be a preparedness camp meeting. So trust me, castings are coming. So they did a casting to cast Ned, the demon that Chad Daybell told Lori. At least that's what all the evidence suggests at this point. That Chad told Lori that that Charles was possessed by a demon named Ned.
Ned
And
Ryerson or Ned Flanders, one of the two.
and they would hold these castings where they're remotely trying to cast the demon out, telling the demon to leave, trying to get the demon out of Charles.
And
whether that's
Zulema's last name was Pastenes, I think.
Yep, Pastemis. Serena is Sharp. Christina, her is Atwood. Nicole, I didn't have her name written down. And Melanie, I guess Gibb, but she's really Polowowski. I think that was either the maiden name or the.
Pulowski. So I think this is a casting. I don't think this is one of the preparedness things. Those were trips they took, like that. They were going to one of those preparedness retreats when Lori first laid eyes on the storm. She's like, "Oh my God, who's that hunk of burning love over there with all the books, all the really shitty books? I'm gonna go talk to him and use my feminine wiles." I think they're getting right to the casting of Ned, trying to get Ned out of Charles' body.
Yep, she had just heard that. So in January, Lori first said this, and it was about him being dark. When she was living in the second house, she, in January of 2019, she had just heard from Chad that Charles was taken over by an evil spirit. And I think I wrote November that he was dark. a dream Lori had. Charles was getting ready to go to legal, and she saw him in a car. Texas, maybe? I don't know what the heck I wrote here. I think Texas. And she saw him in a car accident, and he died and would not be returning by January 1st. But then he was never in that accident. I think that was what that she first thought was going to happen. He was going to die in an accident. And then she asked Lori, why didn't he die in an accident? And she said, well, Satan intervened with a plan. And then Lori had all these revelations, and well, I can't get into all of this. Whew. But it does lead into the castings. Lori would talk about her revelation, different experiences with Chad and Charles, and the plan was revealed to them was what their spouses would pass away and they could be together because Charles was dark. He was going to need to pass away. And then Lori was on castings, how to get away with evil spirits out, have a prayer, like a read from scriptures to encourage the spirit to come out by the power of God. January.
Melanie Pulowski is Melanie's, so that's Lori's niece, and Melanie Gibb was one of her homies.
Right. So yeah, it says that the casting was at Zulema's. So we're about to get into a casting. Oh, man, I got all of it right here too. At least this is what Melanie Gibbs said in her testimony about this same time frame. So
I think it was Alex who tried to shoot Brandon.
Yeah, that's what the evidence suggests.
Yeah.
Uncle Alex, still with Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
And that's a yes?
Yes.
And then you said Tylee was still staying with her Uncle Alex?
Yes.
Did you know where Lori was living at that time?
With Alex.
Had you met these other women prior to this meeting in February-ish of 2019?
The only other person that I knew was Nicole Earl.
Okay.
Well, Earl.
So this was the first time you were meeting the person whose house it was at, Zulema?
Correct.
The first time that you were meeting Melanie Gibb?
Correct.
And the first time you said Serena, is that Serena Sharp?
Correct.
Was there anything that Lori said at this meeting in February-ish of 2019 that she said about Charles that stood out to you?
She's thinking about it. Wow.
She was concerned about dark spirits plaguing him.
Did she in fact tell you that he was possessed by dark spirits?
Objection.
I don't recall.
Did you recall talking to the police, again, back in April of 2021, and advising them that
Objection, hearsay.
this is the first
This is
time you're
improper
hearing that
impeachment.
Charles is possessed?
If I said it then yes.
I'm sorry, I talked over it.
That
I mean,
this
why
is
is
the
she
first
trying to
time you're
impeach her
hearing
own
that
witness
Charles is
anyway?
possessed.
If I said it then yes.
She didn't prep this witness very well.
And she hasn't proved that she actually said that. She listened to what she said, and she still doesn't recall that being what she said. The problem is police can use words. By then, they're using the word possessed because that's how they referred to it. But in these circles, when they're doing it, I think that they likely did say that he's being plagued by dark spirit. I mean, when I look at what Melanie Gibbs said about it, she said that that Charles was dark, and yeah, well, Lori said that she had heard that an evil spirit had been taken over by an evil spirit. So I
Yes,
guess,
Sarah, there is a body cam video of Charles. That was the night that Lori took his car, cleaned out the house. He calls the cops. He's like trying to get into his house, and he's like, I don't know, man. She's like lost her goddamn mind. She thinks I'm a demon. He tells her all, like, tells the cop all this stuff. I'm assuming we're gonna see that video.
Yep. Oh yeah, Ned did have a different name, Garrett.
Ned Flanders.
No, it says new Charles Entity Garrett.
Oh,
So, because I remember you said his name changed. So at some point he was Garrett.
hey diddly doodly. Oh, well, all right,
All right.
go.
When you were meeting on this weekend, or this weekend, what do you remember about this group meeting? Was it a night, a weekend? How was that?
It was an evening. We may have met twice in the evening that weekend.
Did you know where Serena was from? Like, did she live locally?
She did
Oh, you
not.
think
She
Ned
was
sounds
visiting
more
from out of state.
demon than Ned.
Relevance? Where
agree.
Selena lived?
Ned. It's the worst demon name of all time.
And you answered this that yes, there's absolutely
When
body
you
cam
were
of that.
meeting at these in February of 2019, do you recall telling police that Lori was talking about Charles being
Objection,
dark or
hearsay.
having a dark spirit?
Yes.
Yeah,
And you
Garrett
recall
dipped in right as
saying
soon as
that
Ned got
he was
casted.
possessed and she had a name for who he was possessed by.
Right. That was the new.
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Sure. Do you recall telling the police that he was possessed and she had a name for who he was possessed by?
I don't recall, but believe that I said it.
Would listening to your recording help refresh your recollection as to
Yeah,
that?
let's do
Yes.
this, because
Your Honor, if we can have her listen to Exhibit 200.
Go ahead.
now we're stuck while she listens to it. Oh, we got some blooping because I kept pausing and talking about other people's. So we are. Oh wait, she already listened. So she's listening. They didn't take the sound off, even though she took the headphones out. God, they're forgetting to lift the sound. Ah, damn it. Come on, it just got interesting. Fix the sound. All right, somebody check Court TV. I will. How frustrating. Wait, they've got to pause too. They've got the sound off too. I don't know what's going on. Hmm. All right, well, while we wait for the sound to come back, I can answer any questions you have about this stuff that's going on here. Let's see. And at least tell you what I know about this, because I've got my notes right in front of me from when Melanie Gibb, one of the people at this casting, was there. What? Wait. Hold on. Oh no. All my notes are gone? Oh no. Okay. Stand by. Oh, well, that's what I'm responding to. So they didn't put the sound up. It's on. I checked Court TV too, and I was texting Mandy and Tracy about this comment here, wondering if she does not want to cross this witness. So she doesn't cross this witness, and they end for the day.
Oh yeah, Miss Wee Lassie says judge goes into recess until tomorrow. When's that happen? Like right now?
I mean, there's no. She's testifying in front of the. Is the jury not there, or they just didn't turn the sound back on? I don't understand what's going on.
I don't know.
And this is early for them. They end the day today.
That's what Miss Wee Lassie says.
Sound goes down from court. Judge goes into recess until tomorrow. Maybe because the sound went down. Well, I'm going to turn the sound down a little bit.
Do you have any blooping?
No, we're live. And I checked Court TV.
Did you check Fox 10?
No, the sound's down. People are saying that. Dark spirits took over the mic.
Oh, the spirits did?
Yeah.
Must have been Ned.
I'm surprised that she didn't cross.
Oh
the
yeah,
sound
here's what
barrier.
goes on. Runs for a few minutes and judge calls it because of the sound. I think East Idaho News reported it.
All right. So we can remove it from the screen then. Hey,
Right.
that makes for a quick day.
That's good for me because I got to go for practice anyway. And I was just trying to wake Scarlett up and she's sleeping like a log.
All right. So we've got to figure out when we're doing our Richard Allen live.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. We have to figure that out. I was supposed to have a guest on tomorrow night. I pushed her to next Tuesday because I want to do, she's Delphi related. She is Dr. Dawn Perlmutter. She was going to be the expert, the ritual expert, the Odinist expert for Richard Allen's team. She testified at the 3-day hearings, and she's going to be with us next Tuesday night. We will promote that. We do need to do, even if you've seen I'm going to put up on our community, like I want to know from you guys, if you guys want to do a listen through of the interviews without Allie and I interjecting during the interviews, and then we'll talk about it after, or we do an entirely separate live where we're interjecting, or if you want us to kind of stop and go. I'm kind of the mindset, especially because I know Allie has not even seen these interviews yet. I kind of want to watch them all the way through uninterrupted so that you get the total flow, you get the total vibe of what's going on in there. I think a lot of interruptions really can take away from just how that thing was
Too many
going.
options for people to decide. I mean, I think that if something
It's two options, it's either we interrupt or we don't.
Look at this. Sound came back.
What do you mean?
Serena, in a way that also disturbed you.
Yes,
What do you recall of that?
it was just very negative, and that she didn't believe that Serena was going to be good after all, something to that effect.
Okay. So prior to that meeting, Serena had been at the meeting at Zulema's house,
Yes, just the one.
and she had been on a Zoom meeting maybe?
Yes.
They did a Zoom casting.
And then this meeting in June,
Oh, they're
she
already in
was
June.
she was not. And at that point, Lori seemed to be talking negative of her.
Correct.
When you talked to Lori about these statements that you had heard Alex say and her say on the 9th, did you continue to meet up with Lori after that?
No.
Did Lori ever invite you to any more of these gatherings or prayers?
I was invited one time to go for lunch.
When was that?
I believe August.
So between June and August, you did not receive any other invitations?
No.
Did you at some point learn that Charles had been killed?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
I received a text message that he had been killed.
And who did you think had killed Charles?
Originally, when I
Objection?
received the message, I believed it was a brother-in-law of his. And so it was some time before I realized that Alex had been involved.
So initially, you had said when you met with Lori, that you would go to the police, but when you learned Charles was killed, your understanding was it was someone else.
Correct.
So when you learned it was Alex, what was going through your head then?
I
Objection,
had
relevance, cause for
somebody who had
speculation.
visited with Lori about it and had said that
Without going into their
Objection.
hearsay,
There
let me
you
just
go.
ask you this. Had you spoken to someone who was passing along information to you of what they understood had happened?
yes,
The shooting of Charles by Alex was about a month after you had heard him say he wanted to kill Charles, correct?
yes.
Hmm.
Did you feel like after you confronted Lori that she distanced herself from you?
Objection,
Yes.
cause for speculation.
Did that seem to be the same as what you heard and saw happening with
Objection
Serena?
relies on hearsay. Wow.
I don't know.
Okay. On the 9th, you had heard Lori talking negative about Serena, correct?
Yes.
And she hadn't been invited to that meeting.
She lived out of state, so it wasn't surprised that she wasn't invited.
Had she flown in for a previous meeting though?
Yes,
So
just the one, the initial one.
in terms of,
This witness isn't letting the prosecutor manipulate her answers.
your interactions with Lori, did she ever tell you that she was joking about her husband being possessed?
No,
Did she ever tell you she was joking about him having this dark spirit inhabiting him?
no,
Wow.
And did she ever, you told us that she told you there was a name for this spirit that you don't recall now, correct?
yes,
Did she ever tell you she was joking about that?
no.
No other questions. Thank you.
All right, Cross,
No questions, Your Honor.
are there any questions for this witness from the jury? Not seeing any. Ma'am, you can step down.
Thank you.
Wow. All right, we turn down the sound. We'll just wait to see when they say they're coming back tomorrow. I can give you guys a little bit of information about the stuff that we missed. Maybe we'll just figure out what time. I think they're coming back at 10:30. I don't want to hear this beeping. Okay. All right. So January to February, that's where they did the one at Zulema's house. They used terminology that was trying to get the cord to disconnect and help convince the evil spirit to leave. It was supposed to leave the physical body alive, but the entity took over if the evil gets cast, that the entity took over if the evil gets cast out. Ned, the first spirit that took over, after they believed that Ned left, they saw Charles was still alive. At that time, the went by. As the time went by, the teaching evolved, and the new Charles entity was Garrett. He was also cast out, and then we get to Heplos or Heplos. I can't remember which. And I don't know if they talked about zombies because all of this happened. There was some zombie talk, at least from Melanie Gibb. There was also a casting of Brandon that I wonder if this witness was there for, because it was between this February and March date where Brandon Boudreaux, he was dark from the beginning. He became a high-level dark, part of Hitler's group in a past life. And at this point, the people that were dark were Charles, Brandon Boudreaux, the other brother of Lori, the one that that Charles was talking to, Lori's dad, Tylee, JJ, and Kay, which is Charles's sister and JJ's grandmother, and a couple of other people. And in September, JJ was possessed. And then this witness wasn't there for the last casting, which was July 9th or 10th. Melanie slept over at Lori's. Alex came in the next day. Lori said Alex needs to stay over to protect him because Charles was going to kill her. And then obviously we know that Alex shot Charles 2 days later, but this witness wasn't there for that because I think she said she didn't do it one after June. She didn't do a casting after June, but she may have testified that she did the casting that involved Brandon Boudreaux up their back. Let's see.
All right, I'm dipping. So yeah, it's over anyway. Like she refused to direct or cross her, I guess is what the deal was.
Yeah, she said, I have no questions for this witness.
Yeah, I bet.
Thank you, Ashley, for your generosity. Thank you, Lieutenant Pez Dispenser Tully, for your generosity. Give him a, what's he get, babe?
Aw, family hug.
I think we got everybody else. DSN, thanks for your generosity.
All right, I will see you guys tomorrow.
We both will.
Yeah. All right. We love you guys. Because without you, I'm just an old man.
Sitting around talking to his wife.